Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico bringing y'all a Redskins report. I was in the middle of working on my 4-3 defense guide. I'm talking about everything. What a 4-3 defense is, the different types, the great ones throughout history, the differences between Ron Rivera's version of it versus Jack Del Rio's, which one we'll more than likely use, how Redskins players fit in it, all that type of stuff. But I put it on hold because I wanted to get this Redskins report out to y'all because a lot has happened recently and I just want to go ahead and get this out to y'all and then get back to working on my 4-3 video, and hopefully that should be ready by tomorrow as in Friday, at the latest Saturday. But today, big Redskins report, talking about a lot of stuff. There's a Trent Williams update. We have a sneak peek of what Ron Rivera has on his wish list for the Redskins organization. I talk about some of the players that have recently been rumored to be on the trade block or released, or just not re-signed. We have a big name retirement. Everybody knows it's Vernon Davis, but I wanted to talk about it just a little bit. Have some small Gregg Olson news. We have a very surprising famous Redskins fan out there. Just found out today. NFL teams' Twitter's getting hacked. We also take a look at how the Redskins are being severely underestimated for the 2020 season. Will we possibly end up playing in Mexico in 2020 or 2021? And we really got to figure out what Terry McLaurin's official nickname will be. And that's basically all that this Redskins report will be about. Let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get it. First of all, I wanted to start with some big Trent Williams update news. Nothing coming from his side, but I wanted to talk about how Ron Rivera, how he really wants Trent Williams to be a part of the Redskins' future. First of all, Ron Rivera recently called Trent Williams our guy. Ian Rappaport recently reported that we could see a reconciliation between Trent Williams and the new Redskins coach, Ron Rivera, and an entirely new Redskins everything, including the training staff, unquote. Ian Rappaport also called the head of the new training staff for the Redskins, Ryan Vermillion, one of the most respected trainers, and a huge addition for the organization. So that should bode good news for those who want Trent Williams back. But even though the Redskins haven't met with Trent Williams yet face to face, specifically Ron Rivera, the team has been in communication with his agent. But right now, until February 10th, the Redskins front office is basically on like some sort of a vacation. So nothing will happen until then. But expect big news to start pouring out after February 10th when Ron Rivera and the gang come back and they start having meetings and stuff, including Trent Williams. But Ian Rappaport reported that the Redskins do consider Trent Williams to be a part of the team. So they're going to do whatever they can to get Trent Williams back. Whether that includes giving him more guaranteed money, which seems like the final step at this point because Dan Snyder got rid of everybody Trent Williams hated. But yeah, it's really interesting that the Redskins have no plans of trading him. They probably can get a first round for him maybe, but I personally do want Trent Williams back. Even if a team offered us a first, I would prefer to see Trent Williams back starting at left tackle, and then we can figure out what we're going to do at right tackle later. Draft, free agency, whatever. Also, what's interesting with the whole Trent Williams situation is that since he's still technically under contract, it is not illegal for the Redskins to talk to him prior to mid-March, which is when you're allowed to talk to free agents, especially free agents to other teams, because anytime before that is technically illegal tampering. But since he's technically on contract with the Redskins can talk to him whenever, and it would be best to go ahead and get it out the way. So hopefully they have a meeting set for February 10th with Trent Williams. Doubt it, but hopefully they get him in as soon as possible to just talk to him, see what he wants, see what he needs, and get it done to bring him back. Extend them a little bit, give them more guaranteed money, whatever you have to do. And now I want to talk about a sneak peek that we got into Ron Rivera's wish list for the Redskins organization. We haven't gotten the whole thing, you know what I'm saying? But there are a few clues. First of all, big report, Ron Rivera is looking to add a starting wide receiver opposite of Terry McLaurin in this offseason. So you already have Steven Sims in the slot, Kelvin Harmon will be the nice possession receiver, and it seems like Ron Rivera wants another big-time receiver to go opposite of Terry McLaurin. And with the build of the current receivers that we have on roster, a bunch of smaller, fast guys, he may want a bigger type receiver. Also, this doesn't sound good for Paul Richardson. It sounds like he up out of there. He's asking for too much money anyway. Oh, and I am doing a video very soon. After I get done with the 4-3 video, I'm coming out with a video basically showing how the Redskins can end up with the most cap space possible going into free agency mid-March. I'm talking about all the players that's going to be released. I'm doing the math and everything, showing you exactly how much of a cap hit they will be if we keep them versus let them go, all of that. And Paul Richardson is one of the main ones that have to go. But I wanted to look at some of the free agent wide receivers out there on the market so that we don't have to trade for them. And who perfectly fits the mold as a big body receiver, possibly another wide receiver 1 caliber receiver if he stays healthy, my Georgia boy, AJ Green. AJ Green is 6'4" and fast. When at his healthiest, he was one of the best receivers in the league. Top 5. He's just had a string of bad luck with injuries lately the past few years. But with him not even playing at all last year, he should be very fresh going into 2020. And with as much cap space as the Redskins will have, we could definitely see the Redskins finally being aggressive in free agency, like early. Not the Bruce Allen way with waiting towards the end of free agency once everybody's already taken and going and trying to get bargain value deals. Average players for cheap. I think the Redskins may actually go be aggressive and go get big names this offseason for the first time in forever. But I feel like they'll do it smart, unlike the Josh Normans and the Albert Hainsworth type of contract. Right now, according to Spot Track, AJ Green's market value is around $9 million a year. But with how much he's been injured lately, even with as much potential he has, I just don't see a team honestly giving him $9 million per year, especially something long term. So I feel like he will be cheaper than that, and I would like the Redskins to go try to get my Georgia boy, man. Bring him in. There's also the possibility that the Bengals may just franchise tag him also, though. But then you also have Emmanuel Sanders, who had a pretty productive season with the 49ers after getting traded to them. You also have Randall Cobb, who I'm not very interested in. We already have too many speedy, small guys. And I feel like Steven Sims can just be a better version of him anyway. And then you have Amari Cooper, who I doubt the Cowboys end up bringing back because his market value is almost $20 million a year. And I definitely want the Redskins to stay away from that, especially with him dropping so many passes. He's elite at getting open and getting separation, but boy, he will drop the easy ones. And then he's asking for $20 million. And he's also another speedy small guy, like we already have a bunch of. But then you have Robbie Anderson, who is a speed demon, but he's 6'3", so he's also a red zone threat. His market value is supposedly $12 million a year, and I would like the Redskins to try to get him too, because he brings that Deshaun Jackson take the lid off the defense type of element to the offense, but he's also 6'3", and he's young, 26 years old. He doesn't have much of an injury history that we need to be worried about. And with him and Terry McLaurin on the field, I don't know which one defenses are going to focus on. With Steven Sims in the slot too? Come on now. My favorite two are definitely AJ Green or Robbie Anderson. Big wide receivers with speed. I feel like AJ Green has a higher ceiling, but Robbie Anderson is clearly more dependable. Maybe a little bit more expensive, but clearly more dependable. Also a part of Ron Rivera's wish list, along with wide receiver help to pair with Terry McLaurin and trying to bring back Trent Williams, there's also league sources that say that Ron Rivera will push to get Brandon Sheriff signed long-term on an extension sooner rather than later, which is exciting news. I want them to bring back Trent, re-sign Brandon Sheriff, and re-sign Eric Flowers. We haven't heard anything between the Redskins, Ron Rivera, and Eric Flowers yet, but obviously Brandon Sheriff and Trent Williams are priorities. And those are basically the 3 sneak peeks we have into Ron Rivera's wish list so far. More news will keep coming out, especially after they get back February 10th to continue their meetings and team evaluation and draft analysis, getting their big boards together, all of that type of stuff. Once they come back February 10th, there will be a lot of news coming out for what the Redskins want to do, what they plan to do, all of that type of stuff. But this is what we have so far. Now I want to talk about some of the new NFL players out there that have recently been placed on the trade block or will be released by their current team or just won't be re-signed. We already know the Gregg Olsons and the Melvin Gordons and all of those, but there have been some very interesting recent updates that I want to talk about real quick. First of all, there's Vic Beasley. The Falcons have confirmed that they will not re-sign him going into the 2020 season. So he's a free agent out there now. Edge rusher. And if the Redskins are thinking about letting Ryan Kerrigan go, if they don't bring him back on a restructured contract that's very team friendly, they could try and go get Vic Beasley. He has all of the potential in the world. It just didn't work out for the Falcons after that one all-pro season he had. And you never know, he could have like a Preston Smith type of increase in production just by going to a new team, new atmosphere, and all of that type of stuff. Could be him, Montez Sweat, and Chase Young. But for those of y'all who don't want Chase Young, I'm one of the ones that do want Chase Young. That would give us even more room to just trade down and get people like Isaiah Simmons and or Jeffrey Okudah and all of those other types of people that y'all may want to draft in a trade down scenario. And we'll still add to our edge rusher depth. But me personally, I prefer Chase Young and then possibly bring Vic Beasley in as a depth piece, as a part of the rotation, if he's willing to take a cheap contract, because he may be out here looking for big money. Well, I don't know. I have no idea so far. Also, 2 big name running backs are available out here. You got my Georgia Bulldog, Rams running back Todd Gurley. The Rams are exploring trade opportunities for Todd Gurley this offseason. So that's very interesting. I don't want the Redskins to do it because they're probably asking for a lot. And he's already making over $14 million a year. So he's very expensive. And with the whole arthritis thing or whatever's going on, we're not 100% sure that he's going to be healthy at any point. And then you also have Cardinals running back David Johnson, and the Cardinals are expected to release him, which is crazy because he was like one of the best running backs in the league just a few years ago, but then injuries have just hit him over and over again. And you never know, he may be cheap. If he's asking for a lot of money, definitely no, because the last thing we need is another injury-prone running back. But if he's willing to come in for a very team-friendly deal, for another opportunity to make a statement in the league, then I'm definitely down to see what he has to offer, especially on the 90-man roster during training camp. And then lastly, my boy Eric Berry, real South Atlanta legend, man. Creekside High School, all that. Been rooting for you. He plans to return to the NFL in 2020. He just took a year off, wanted to get his mind and body right, and now he's ready to come back. And we do have a need at safety in a way. I want Trey Boston to be our starting free safety, preferably. And then Landon Collins, you already know, has the strong safety part held down. But Eric Berry is good at both. He's basically DJ Swearinger, but better. He can play both free safety and strong safety. Another guy that if he's willing to come in on a fairly team-friendly deal, it doesn't have to be just like Gregg Olson or David Johnson level team-friendly that I'm asking for. But if it's something just not ridiculous, I'm willing to take a risk on him. I may be biased because I've been rooting for him since he was in high school. But we do kind of have a need at safety. And if for some reason we're not able to get Trey Boston, I would definitely love to get Eric Berry. And even if we get Trey Boston, if we can get Eric Berry for cheap as a rotational piece and just have Landon Collins, Eric Berry, and Trey Boston as the 3-headed safety monster, oh man, that would be filthy. And now I just want to mention that Vernon Davis has announced that he will officially retire. I know I'm late, but I just wanted to make sure I at least mentioned it, especially in a Redskins report where I talk about everything. And I do want to thank him for his services that he provided to the Redskins. Very productive. He had injury problems. He wasn't the best blocker out here doing it at all. But he was a very dependable receiving option while here. And was far less injury prone than Jordan Reed. Came through clutch at times. He even started 2019 off really well with some highlights. But he's finishing his career with 7,562 yards and 63 touchdowns. And he averaged at least 10 yards per reception in 13 of his 14 seasons. As a Redskin, he averaged 31 receptions on 46 targets and 13.9 yards per reception. So salute to you, my boy. We appreciate everything you did for the Redskins. I wish we could have had you when you were younger, but you still did your thing for us. Enjoy your retirement, relax, and just watch football like the rest of us, man. Or if you want to be a tight ends coach or get into coaching or get into broadcasting, I've seen them on NFL Network a lot. You know, I'm pretty sure you have a job opportunity there if you want it. Either way, good luck to whatever you want to do in the future, man. Speaking of tight ends, I know I'm also a little late on this, but I feel wrong not at least reporting it, especially for those who may not know yet. But Gregg Olson will visit the Redskins along with the Bills and the Seahawks, and he has publicly expressed strong interest in joining the Redskins because of Pete Honer, his tight ends coach in Carolina, and Ron Rivera, his head coach that he's had since he's been traded away from the Bears, which happened while he was very young in his career. He's been under Ron Rivera's coaching for the vast majority of his career, and he would love to have that reunion, which he has publicly expressed. And like I've said before, in my previous videos and in the comments. I would love to bring him in on an almost veteran minimum, very cheap, very team-friendly deal. It just wouldn't hurt. At least for the 90-man roster during training camp. I want us to still draft tight ends in the draft like Thaddeus Moss and Adam Trautman, all who we can get like later in the draft, and then bring in Gregg Olson as the dependable receiving option who can't necessarily block very well, but he's far more dependable than a Jordan Reed ever was. Plus, he'll be a great on-field coach for the young guys that we draft. And even Austin Hooper, if we sign him in free agency, Gregg Olson can also show him a few things, show him a few tricks. Now in fairly random news, the Redskins worked out Seantrell Henderson, a veteran offensive tackle released by the Texans last year. Look for him to be a 90-man roster candidate during training camp just to see what he has to offer. See if he can be a good depth piece. See if he's better than Jerron Christian has been. But something noteworthy, he was suspended for 4 games a while ago, and then in 2017 he was suspended for 10 games for substance abuse. And then in 2019 he was benched after week 1 by the Texans, and then he was waived in November. And the Texans have offensive line problems, so if they didn't like him, I don't see why we would. But you know, we'll see what he has to offer in training camp and all of that. And now, y'all wouldn't guess who's a Redskins fan, man. I really want to just give y'all like 15 minutes to just guess. It's extra random.
Cowboys gonna win the NFCs?
It would be good for the city, but I'm a Redskins fan.
That boy Kristaps Porzingis, born and raised in Latvia, learned American culture by watching World Star. That's why he wears do-rags and loves trap music. He plays in Dallas, used to play in New York, but somehow he is a Redskins fan. There's a video going around of him showing off his little Redskins shirts, repping it and all that.
Look, Redskins, let's go!
And he looks like a very proud Redskins fan. Like he been doing this. I don't know how, but I've always said I don't know where the Redskins are getting a lot of foreign Redskins fans from, but I know a lot of Redskins fans from Australia. I have a lot of Redskins fans and friends from the UK. Shouts out to my boy English Skins, my boy Scotty, all of them. I don't know if the Redskins had like an outreach program or something. I don't know, but the Redskins have a lot of fans outside of the DMV and also outside of America. We are deep out here, man. I mean, Brazil, everywhere, Canada, Mexico, all of that, man. Now I'm a big Porzingis fan, man. I'm gonna be watching your games and rooting for you like crazy after that. And since we're talking about international, there is a possibility that the Redskins may end up playing in Mexico in 2020 or 2021. There will be one game there each year, similar to how the NFL has games in London every year. And I know. First of all, traveling there may be a hindrance to some people. It sounds fun to me. I would love to go if I can. And then there's also the field condition issues that they had the last time when the Chiefs and the Rams had to relocate to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum last minute in 2018. And that thing was a disaster. I mean, those field conditions were terrible. But after a 1-year hiatus, the Chiefs and the Chargers played in Mexico City in 2019 and everything went well. But prior to that game, the league pushed for the installation of a new drainage and irrigation system at the Estadio Azteca. The stadium also promised to not hold any concerts or soccer matches in any of the weeks prior to the games. But even after all of that, the turf still had to be replaced at halftime. But it seems like the NFL and Mexico City are doing all that they can to make sure the field conditions are conducive for safe football play. And just like every other team in the NFL, the Redskins may end up playing in 2020 or 2021. We'll see though. Now in very random news, a couple of weeks ago, 15 NFL Twitter accounts were hacked. They were all missing their profile pictures and nobody knew what was going on. That included the Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Los Angeles Chargers, Chicago Bears, Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers, Cleveland Browns, and the Arizona Cardinals. That's literally every other team in the NFC East except for us. So I see that new Ron Rivera regime holding strong where you can't hack us. There's no leaks, no nothing in this new regime. We're not different just on the field, we're different on the web too. They can't breach us, man, I'm telling you. This new Ron Rivera era will be very strong, tight-knit, and us being part of the half of the league that wasn't able to get hacked, I feel like that means something. Very random, but you know, just wanted to report it. And now I wanted to talk about how the Redskins are being severely underestimated. just like last year. But then again, last year we thought that was crazy, and we ended up actually having the same record as whoever that was on NFL Network that said we were going to only win like 3 or 2 games or something like that. But right now, according to Las Vegas, we have the worst odds of winning the Super Bowl in 2020. I mean, we're worse than Miami, Arizona, the Jets, the Lions, Carolina, the Giants, the Bengals. I mean, everybody. We are literally the worst odds, and it's not even close. We're plus 15,000, and then Miami, who have the second worst odds, are plus 12,500. I mean, we're just getting disrespected out here. And then you have ESPN's early 2020 power rankings, and the Redskins are 31st. And the only team worse than us are the Bengals, who have the first overall pick. And I guess I can't be mad, I mean, because it looks like it's just going in order of draft. The Bengals are the worst, we're the second worst, the Lions are the third worst, the Giants are the fourth worst. And then it actually starts getting a little different with the Jacksonville Jaguars at 28th. But yeah, man, they out here doubting my boy Ron Rivera in the game. They gonna stop playing. After this free agency and this draft, they'll see. They will see. They'll get a little sneak peek in the preseason, and when regular season comes around, oh, they'll know. They will know that this is a different Redskins organization. Plain and simple. We even got Porzingis rooting for it. Stop playing. And now the last topic. We need to figure out what this nickname for Terry McLaurin is going to be. After his entire rookie campaign when he was showing out, we still never came to the conclusion of what his nickname will finally be. And I've seen a lot of nicknames out there. You got Dwayne Haskins, he said Touchdown Terry. He said Rev Terry, McLaurin. I've seen Terry McLaurin out there, which is basically almost the same thing as McLaurin, just how you want to say it. Of course, people were saying Scary Terry a lot. I've seen a lot of T-Max out there, but you already have Tracy McGrady, so that's weird. I kind of like the idea of Android 17, because that's his jersey number, and you know, all y'all Dragon Ball Z fans out there, I know what that means. There's also Turbo Terry. Scoring McLaurin has a ring to it, it rhymes. Lightning McLaurin, Terry McLovin. I've seen T-Time. I don't really like the Terry McTouchdown one, but I'll take Touchdown Terry. I'm kind of a fan of that. I kind of like McLaurin too. That sounds pretty cool. I don't love any of these nicknames so far. So if any of y'all have any nicknames, please talk about it in the comments, because I'm very interested. I haven't sat down yet and really tried to think of nicknames myself, but I'm very interested in what nicknames y'all are able to come up with, because I really want us to finally get a nickname down before the first game of the regular season. We have until September to finally give this man a nickname, an official nickname. And Terry McLaurin said that if you asked him what his nickname is, he'll never say Scary Terry. He said he just wants a nickname to come naturally, organically, and he'll just be patient until it comes. But please get in them comments and let everybody know your Terry McLaurin nickname ideas, because I'm just very curious at this point. And hopefully I see one that I really like out of everything y'all submit. So far though, the closest to being my favorites are probably Touchdown Terry or McLaurin. But again, I don't love any of those yet. So we'll see. Oh, and before we dip, let me shout out Bashaud Breeland, Kendall Fuller, and center Austin Ryder for going ahead and getting that ring, dog. I see y'all, man. Austin went from being a 2015 7th round pick from the Redskins to going around all types of teams and constantly getting injured, to finding a home for the Chiefs and being their starting center for their Super Bowl winning run. And then you have Bashaud Breeland and Kendall Fuller, who both had interceptions in the Super Bowl. Had one of their best games of their careers in the Super Bowl. So shouts out to all of them, man. Y'all made Redskins Nation proud. And I miss y'all. I really hope we can bring Kendall Fuller back in this offseason, because he will be a free agent. Oh, and in very random news, I'm literally in the middle of editing the video that you're watching right now. Ignore the whole outfit change and everything. I'm in my editing mode. I am not in camera mode. But Tony Pauline, who is a fairly trustworthy NFL source, just said, I'm told that Ron Rivera loves the Predator, Chase Young, and he reminds him of Julius Peppers, and that as of right now is very likely the way that they're going to go as far as the draft goes. So it looks like Chase Young is almost a lock at the number 2 pick. Of course, the Redskins are going to listen to offers, especially on draft day, for trade back scenarios, and may consider one if it's a lot of value in return, like maybe multiple firsts, some seconds, some future firsts, all of that stuff, maybe some players. But as of right now, with where everything stands, Chase Young looks to almost be a lock at the number 2 pick. But people have been saying this for months. You can pretty much write it in permanent ink that Joe Burrow is going number 1 to the Bengals and Chase Young is going number 2 to the Redskins. That's been set in stone for a while. all of these random trade scenarios and trade back possibilities that people keep coming up with, at this point, they're just almost clickbait, because y'all might as well stop hurting yourselves. It looks like Chase Young is almost nearly a lock. It's been that way for a long time. And the only way the Redskins won't take him at 2 is if somebody comes out with a historical trade package. Something we've never seen before. Probably something bigger than what we gave up for RG3. But that's it for this Redskins report. I know, very random. A lot of miscellaneous topics all over the place. But please like the video if you learned anything. If you liked it, please subscribe for more content. Endless Redskins content coming. I'm coming out with a 4-3 defense complete guide and breakdown soon. By Saturday at the latest. I'm about to start coming with infinite draft talk, and I'm about to start hitting y'all with weekly live streams so where we can talk about anything. So please make sure you subscribe if you haven't. It's as easy as hitting that little green square Street Scores logo at the bottom right of your screen. Just click that and click subscribe if you haven't. And I appreciate all the support. Please get in them comments and give me y'all Terry McLaurin nicknames and any opinions y'all have on any of these other topics I talked about in this Redskins report. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.